Look at your character sheet right now. How much of what's written on that paper is actually going to keep you alive in the next room? Not your hit points, not your saving throws. I'm talking about your skills, your modifiers, all that beautiful math you spent an hour picking. Almost none of it matters. In BXD&D, real old school D&D, treating your character sheet like a video game controller is the number one reason PCs die. And if you've ever sat at a table thinking, what does my character keep getting killed, even though I built them correctly, I'm going to show you exactly what you're doing wrong. Okay? Because here's the thing about modern game design, it trains you to look down. Encounter something strange? Look down. Weird door? Look down. Suspicious chest? Look down. Find the button that says solve problem. That reflex will get your character killed at a BX table. Your character sheet in old school D&D is not a menu of options. It's a ledger of your limitations. It's a record of what happens when your plan completely falls apart. It's a safety net. It's not an engine. The engine is the conversation between you and the referee. Every time you look down at your sheet, you break eye contact with the fiction. You stop seeing the room the referee just described. The iron chest with the dark, oily liquid dripping from the hinges, your stats don't tell you anything about that. What matters is what you actually do with the information you've been given. Is it oil or acid? Does it smell? What happens if you pour water into it? Does it react with metal? None of those are dice rolls. None of those are on your character sheet. That's you, the player, engaging with the world using your brain. That's the shift from character skill to player skill. So let me give you a concrete example. The classic BX Thief. First level, 10% chance to find or remove traps. 10 effing percent. If you play that thief by walking up to a door and saying, I use my find traps ability, you have a 90% chance of dying. Think about that. The rules are screaming at you. Stop relying on the sheet. That 10% roll, that's your desperation roll. That's what happens when you have no idea what the trap is, no time to think, and you're blindly shoving your hands into the mechanism and praying. The real way to play that thief is to ask questions. Where are the seams on the door? Is there a wire on the hinge? What happens if I pour water into the keyhole? Does it drain? Does it pool? If you describe a logical, careful approach, jamming a dagger into the needle mechanism, wedging it so it can't spring, a good referee isn't going to ask you to roll that 10%. They're just going to tell you, all right, it works. Because you solved the problem with player skill, not character skill. When you treat the sheet like a list of buttons, you stop interacting with the world and start interacting with the system. And that turns a terrifying dungeon into a math optimization problem, which is boring and quite likely lethal. So, okay, here's the moment I pretty much promised you at the start. Same room, same character, two completely different players. The referee describes it like this. You open the door, 10 by 20 room, stone pedestal in the center, golden chalice on top. The floor around the pedestal is dusty, but the dust looks disturbed in about a 5-foot radius around the base. Player A, the button pusher. I have a 14 wisdom. Can I roll perception to see what's wrong with the floor? We don't use perception here. What is your character actually doing? Oh, all right. Okay, do I have a tracking skill? Can I roll investigation? No. Tell me what you're doing in the room. Fine. I walk up to the pedestal and I pick up the chalice. Click. The floor tiles drop. Player A falls into a pit, takes damage, and dies. And then they complain the game is unfair because they weren't allowed to roll their skills. Now, we'll move on to player B. Same room, same description. I'm staying in the doorway. You said the dust is disturbed. Is it swept clean or do the stones look different? Maybe lower than the rest of the floor? All right, well, the stones in that radius sit slightly lower. Air currents might be blowing the dust clear. Player B. Okay, I'm not stepping in. I take out my 10-foot pole and I tap the tile directly in front of me, outside the disturbed area. Does it feel solid? Solid granite. All right, good. Now I press the pole down hard on one tile inside the 5-foot radius. I'm applying roughly the weight of a person stepping on it. Okay. Well, the entire section swings down like a trapdoor. Dark pit. If you'd step there, you'd be at the bottom. Excellent. I tell the party to halt. How wide is the gap between the pit edge and the pedestal base? About 5 feet. A motivated adventurer could jump on it, or you could plank it. Player B never rolled a single die. No modifier, no ability check. They used their eyes. They used their 10-foot pole, and they used the ref's description. They found the trap and the treasure. Player A played their sheet and died. Player B played the room. So forget your ability scores for a second. Look at your inventory. An 18 strength and a 9 strength both die if they fall into a pit of poison spikes. But the character who bought 30 feet of rope, iron spikes, a hammer, a bag of flour, that character survives. The flour could reveal invisible magic runes on the floor or the outline of a pit trap. The iron spikes jam the door so wandering monsters can't hit you during a rest. The rope gets everyone across the chasm. Show me your gear list, and I'll show you how long your character is going to live. Show me your stat block, and I'll just tell you how much experience the next ghoul gets when they chew on your bones. If you want to make this shift right now, try this at your next session. Put your character sheet under your notebook. Keep your hit points and your AC on a sticky note. Hide the rest. When a referee describes a room, don't look down. Look at the ref. Listen to what they're actually telling you. Treat the description like a real space you're standing in. Dark hallway with damp walls, don't roll. Ask what the moisture smells like. Ask if the slime is green or clear. Use your torch. Use your tools. And a quick word to the referees out there, because this goes both ways. You cannot expect players to stop playing the sheet if you keep forcing them back onto it. If a player describes feeling for a draft under a door, checking the hinges, looking at the ceiling above the threshold, and you say, yeah, okay, roll a search check. You just told them their cleverness didn't matter. You told them only the dice get to decide. Don't do that. If they describe a smart approach, just give them the information. If they describe a flawed approach, show them the consequence. But don't hide a player's success behind a dice roll when they've already solved a problem with their words. Reward the engagement with the world every time. That's how you teach players that their brain is their greatest weapon. Now, before I get to the channel stuff, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right below. Are you a player A or a player B? And if you've made the switch from sheet player to room player, tell me the moment it clicked. The specific situation. I read every comment on this channel, and the best story in the thread wins nothing except my genuine respect, which is worth exactly what you paid for it. Before we go, massive shout out to the Tavern's minions, our channel members who keep the lanterns burning here every day, every week. Currently over 750 members strong. Your support keeps this channel independent, sponsor-free, and focused on content that actually makes you a better player at the table. This is a collab with Joe Block, aka the Greyhawk Grognard, and Joe the Lawyer. We don't always agree, but if we always did, what would be the fun? Their links are below. If this breakdown was useful and you want more of this, subscribe. Hit the link in the description for the classic rules we've been working from, and come join the Tavern community. Now get out there, put away the skill checks, play the game. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one.